And then back to the defense, it was pretty evident right away in the first quarter that they're bigger, they're stronger, they're sturdier up front. They learned how to tackle, as you mentioned. But also, we don't necessarily, I don't think, coming off of this week 1 game, have to be playing that chicken and egg game where, okay, well, this unit played well, but how good was the unit that they played in week 1? We're going to have to see how good they are because we really don't know. Was it USC's defense is better, or maybe LSU's offense really isn't that good? I have little doubt that LSU has a good offense. I think that this was USC's defense playing just that good. I think LSU has a really good offense. Garrett Nussmeier actually looked for a good portion of the first half, for as good as Miller Moss was playing, Garrett Nussmeier was actually playing better for much of the game. So I think he's a good quarterback. They have excellent receivers. They've got that offensive line. I think they're a bit thin at running back, although John Emery was asserting himself in the second half. So this USC defensive improvement, it's only 1 game, but I have confidence LSU has the personnel on offense to legitimize this USC defensive effort.
Totally agree with that. I mean, LSU has a lot of dudes. Like Emery's a dude, Lacey's a dude. There are some guys with significant.
Mason Taylor.
Yes, Taylor. Those are guys with significant top-end athleticism, right? They're very strong. They're very fast. They have so much power and explosion in their games. Yeah, and of course, this is probably the best offensive line that USC is going to go against all season. And one of the really central themes of this game, I don't know if you have a precise statistical breakdown, but it was something that it stood out fairly obviously for me watching this game. When LSU got into 3rd and 3 or shorter, regularly converted. Because you just need to throw a little short rollout, to a wide receiver. And USC wants to take away the deep ball. More on that in a little bit. To just get 3 yards on a quick pass to a agile, strong wide receiver, like that's really hard to stop. It's hard to stop that 3rd and 3. We all remember like the 49ers with Steve Young and Jerry Rice. Like good luck defending that little quick sprint rollout with Steve Young to Jerry Rice on 3rd and 2. You have Ricky Waters and Tom Raffman in the backfield, and you have Brent Jones at tight end, and like you're just not going to stop that little flip out to Jerry Rice for 3.5 yards on 3rd and 2. It was really similar with LSU. However, when LSU got into 3rd and 6 or longer, when it got into 3rd and medium or longer, USC was able to get off the field. I mean, how much of a 180-degree change is that from the Grinch years? When 3rd and 9 just felt like, it's just a third chance for the offense to get a first down, which it would normally get. Now 3rd and 9 means USC's probably getting off the field, or at least that certainly was the reality of this game tonight. So, and one of the other things was, there were some USC fans, understandably, why are we playing so soft in coverage? Why are we playing so soft in coverage? And it does bring to mind the Oregon game last year when USC corners were, like 12 yards off the ball. Bo Nix had easy pitches and catches. But the thing is, USC didn't tackle after the catch. USC didn't make sure hits and stops against Oregon pass catchers or ball carriers. So the end product was still really bad. But when you have a defense that now does wrap up, that does make the hit, that does stop someone cold, the guy catches the ball 4 yards down the field, he gains 4 yards. He doesn't gain 6. He doesn't gain 8. He's getting just 4. When that happens, you can then afford to sit back, right? You can afford to play soft, knowing that, all right, we'll give you a few yards, we'll give you a few first downs. That's not the measurement of a successful drive. It's can you score a touchdown against us? And so USC played the game defensively the way I thought it should. Don't get beaten deep. Don't give up the home run, right? Like that's how games can spiral out of control. You want to make Garrett Nussmeier throw 10 passes to score on you. And as it turned out, I mean, as well as Nussmeier played, and he piled up the yards, and he piled up the completions, and he piled up the first downs, it was hard for LSU to score touchdowns. They scored just 20 points. They scored just 2 touchdowns. Like, you are doing your job. So the stat sheet looked great for Nussmeier in the first half. But I was telling USC fans on Twitter, we gave up just 10 points. Like, you big picture, like, that's what you want. You're doing amazing, sweetie. That is exactly the goal. You limit the other team's points. Let them have yards. Let them have first downs. Not that they're irrelevant, but hierarchy of priorities, right? That some stats are more meaningful than others. And yards can be cotton candy, right? Empty calories. We'll give you dinks and dunks, but when you get into the red zone, you're not going to be able to finish off a drive. So that's the way D'Anton Lynn played it. I thought it was the perfect strategy. And like the proof is in the pudding. 20 points allowed to an offense with an elite line, with 2 tackles that are projected to be first-round NFL draft picks, receivers that are dudes at a university which cranks out receivers like nobody's business. If you're holding LSU to 20 points, like, you're not only are you doing your job, you're doing your job exceedingly well. Like, reality check, how many people would have said, we're going to hold LSU to fewer than 3 touchdowns in this game? We're going to hold LSU under 21 points in this game. How many people really, truly, honestly believed that was going to happen? So I think the strategy was great. And you also have to realize, and this is why we're all optimistic at USC tonight, is that when you go into the Big Ten, like, the task should be, one would think, easier than it was tonight against LSU. Not just because of the talent that LSU has at wide receiver, but also because this defense is going to grow. Like, this was week 1. There was no, last year USC didn't play a really big game until Notre Dame in October. But this year, the big game was right off the bat. And USC was able to hold up in this week 1 cauldron. And now you get this defense a chance to mature and evolve over the course of the season. And you look at Wisconsin's offense, which didn't set the world on fire in its first game against a MAC program in week 1. Like, you get to September 28th, and Wisconsin's offense with Phil Longo and Tyler Van Dyke goes up against USC's defense. Like, I know which side I'm taking in that matchup. And you look at other teams in the Big Ten that struggled on offense in week 1, like when USC goes to Minnesota in early October. Am I going to be worried about that Minnesota passing game against this D'Anton Lynn USC defense? I don't think so. So USC is going to play opponents not as skilled as LSU tonight. Penn State being an obvious exception. Notre Dame being a potential exception at the end of the year, because Riley Leonard can run the ball in ways that most of the quarterbacks USC is facing in 2024 will not. But most of the time, most of the games, USC's defense will play offenses that are less skilled than tonight, and it will have more time to grow into the D'Anton Lynn system. You had Matt Entz coaching up the linebackers. Like, Mason Cobb's technique and his finishing of tackling, night and day from Alex Grinch under Matt Entz. And the USC secondary, it's a kind of ironic. The touchdown that USC gave up in the first half, Achille Arnold was in position. Like, he should have made a play on the ball in the end zone. He seemed to lose track of the ball, but like, he was in the right spot. So Doug Belk had that USC secondary in the right spot. So all 3 levels, like this group of 11 was coached well. You saw all the advances in technique, fundamentals, positioning, pre-snap reads, everything. Like, this defensive staff is as advertised, and you're going to put it against opponents not as skilled as LSU was. So that really points to this team's upside on defense.
We appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Matt and I got psyched up for this one. We knew we would had a good game on our hands, as I teed it up last week a number of times, the best game of the weekend. I did, to be clear, say many times, though, that if I could only watch one game, yes, I did say Notre Dame and Texas A&M, but I said that this would be the best game of the weekend. I thought that the Notre Dame game for them was the most important game for anybody on the national scene. And here we are. And by looking at our predictions, Matt, I think we both settled in the same spot when it was time to pull the trigger. While we both, it appeared based on our conversations throughout the offseason, really liked USC and the points, we thought, well, there's a lot to overcome, a lot of improvement to be made. Vegas must know what they're talking about. LSU's probably going to win the game, but just continuing to analyze and set up the matchups, we both went with USC to win this game outright when push came to shove.
Yes, and I think it's because you and I were both aware. I mean, and also Tim Prangley, who, by the way, he was in Vegas. What a game for him to be able to cover for Trojans Wire. So happy for Tim that he got that experience. But like we all saw how good Danton Lynn and Eric Henderson, woof woof, dog work, Matt Entz, Doug Belk, and let's not forget Taylor Mays is able to coach this secondary because of the limits on the restrictions of on-field in-practice coaches. We can't emphasize that enough. There are the limits on coaches on the practice field and in the stadium have been lifted. So Taylor Mays a year ago in this situation against LSU would not have been in the stadium. Taylor Mays tonight in the stadium. And so Taylor Mays helping Doug Belk with the secondary. And let's remember that USC secondary got better at tackling in the Holiday Bowl with Taylor Mays in charge in an interim capacity. We can't forget Taylor Mays and his role in shaping up this USC secondary and being a helpmate for Doug Belk with that secondary. So you put all of those pieces together, that is something that we could see. We could see these coaches knowing what they were doing, which we could not say about Alex Grinch. We could also not say that about Dante Williams. Dante Williams was a great recruiter, but he couldn't coach his way out of a wet paper bag. And a lot of Trojans in the first 2 years of the Lincoln Riley era, like, hey, I thought about saying not to toot my own horn, but you know what? I'm tooting my own horn. I'm just going to say it directly. Like I clashed with a number of USC fans about the merits and value of Dante Williams. Is the value of his recruiting worth the non-value of his coaching? And I was adamant in saying, you know what, you can't be amateur hour. You got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. You have to be able to recruit well and teach the position well. And Dante Williams did not teach the position well. And I emphasized a lot in January, February, March, the first months and weeks with this new defensive coaching staff on board. I emphasized a lot here at the Voice of College Football on our Monday shows with you, Mark, that not only was USC getting this really good defensive staff coming in, but not having Grinch and not having Dante Williams, addition by subtraction. And so I pointed to this triple stack. The triple stack was the addition by subtraction, no more Grinch, no more Williams, the addition by addition, the new defensive staff, and addition by retention, Taylor Mays. So USC had addition in 3 different flavors. You could call it the chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry of this USC defensive staff. Addition in 3 different, but all very meaningful manifestations. And so we could see that, and that's why you and I both picked USC to win this game.